awful incident yesterday. A 73-year-old British man called Geoff Kitchen from, where in the country is from, West Midlands, I think, died, and several others were injured after their Singapore Airlines flight from London was hit by severe turbulence. According to flight tracking data, the plane dropped a mile very quickly. And let's just have a look then at what happened here. So we thank the Daily Mail for their graphics, brilliant graphics in the paper today. And here you have, if we roll it, we start up here with the plane basically leaving. It's a Boeing 777. It departs at 10:17 on Monday from London Heathrow. And you've got 211 people on board, 18 crew, 47 British passengers there, including Geoff. And then 10 and a half hours into the flight, it hits turbulence. It's over Myanmar, which used to be called Burma. It's 37,000 feet in the air, and it very suddenly drops 6,000 feet, which is nearly 2,000 meters. So if we can maybe sort of graphicize this for you here, we put Burma on the ground here. This is my rather useless drawing of Myanmar. And we'll put some sky in here. And the key thing to say is the plane is a long way up. All right, so 37,000 feet, it's really, we'll get a Boeing and take the background out and put that up in the air. Right, so it's a long way up at 37,000 feet, which means it's got a comfort zone here. It's not going to hit the ground. And the drop is 1/6 of its total altitude, so about 6,000 feet. But it's shocking if you're on board a plane and that happens. So it drops 6,000 and then it's corrected because of turbulence. What is the cause? Can be wind, can be storms, can be the jet stream, can be an object like a mountain near the plane. And classically, two different wind speeds, top and bottom of the plane. Light turbulence, you won't even notice. Moderate, 3 to 6 meters, drinks may spill. A drop of 30 meters or more, you can be thrown around. That's severe. So 6,000 or 1,800 meters is very severe turbulence. It doesn't happen very often. The worst case, we go back more than 50 years. And what happened was that in the turbulence, the tail was ripped off a Boeing 707. It then crashed and everyone on board, 124 died. These days, thankfully, planes are more robust. Here's another example, famous example of a sudden drop from 24 years ago. This plane, passenger action on the pilot, got into the cockpit, dropped 12,000 feet in 25 seconds. Famous incident because Jemima Khan was on board. And this guy, Brian Ferry, the rock star, everyone was okay. Brian Ferry was apparently cross with his son for swearing and was heard saying, "Stop swearing, Isaac." Andrew Davis from Lewisham, who says he was on the flight with Singapore Airlines yesterday, described what it was like.
Seatbelt sign came on, and I'm thankfully, I'm diligent about these things and quickly put my seatbelt on. And as I recall, at the moment I touched my seatbelt, the plane just dropped, and it was extremely severe experience. I remember a 3-degree budget with his belongings, frames, cushions.
So there we are. It threw stuff all over the place. The gentleman who died apparently had a heart attack. Have you experienced turbulence, we're asking? Do you have a horror story from a plane trip? It can be scary. Even a small drop can be really scary, Carole, can't it?
Yeah, when we were talking about doing this yesterday, I was thinking, why are we doing this? And then I saw all the details emerge today about how terrifying it is. And I hadn't realised 38 turbulence-related fatalities in just the last 15 years, which is quite a lot, really.
Well, I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of people fly, and that's 2 a year.
To be honest, the question here is, would it put you offline? No, it wouldn't, because I think they're incredibly rare occurrences, and I think if you stop flying on the basis that you might experience turbulence, you might as well stop doing everything. Don't cross the road in case you get knocked over.
There was a row on a plane I was on once, and it was a lad, sort of young teenager, who didn't want to put his seatbelt on. Oof. And the steward said to him, "Just let me make it clear that if the plane drops at all, you will hit the ceiling and knock yourself out. Now you decide if you want to put a seatbelt on." I'm just wondering if we should have seatbelts on constantly, Dom.
Well, I mean, it kind of seems to make sense. I was in a really bad, I was flying to Lukla in Nepal, and there was a really bad drop. It was in quite a small plane, and it is absolutely terrifying. We were seatbelted in, so it was okay, but it did put me off. I mean, you have to fly, so you kind of force yourself through, but it is really, really frightening. What's interesting, some of the things I didn't know, I mean, I fly a hot air balloon occasionally, so I kind of am aware of sort of atmospherics.
It doesn't drop, does it? Or
no, but it's interesting.
Lurch.
It's interesting about the safe times. So it's much safer to fly in the morning from turbulence because there's a lot less turbulence coming on. Also, you're a lot less safe at the back of the plane, which seems very unfair. It's like another advantage for first-class passengers.
Is that right?
That's why I could see, actually, Brian Ferry is at the front there, I think.
Well, yeah, I think he was first class, yeah. But that's quite a famous example because, as I say, Jemima Khan said that was one of the worst drops they've ever had in a plane.
What is interesting is that, usually when you're flying, if there is, they can usually tell turbulence is coming. So usually there's an announcement that says, fasten your seatbelts. And I have to say, I'm always a little bit, I think, oh, and I do it, but I'm a bit grumpy. I won't be now, and I don't think anybody else will be.
I'm actually going to bring a seatbelt on with me. Marie in Essex, hi.
Hiya.
Have you had a sudden drop?
I haven't, no, luckily enough. But I'm travelling to Bangkok in July, and it won't put me off. My son lives in Thailand, so I'm going to have to fly often. But I wear my seatbelt all the time. I think once you're used to it, you don't even notice it's on.
Well, I think I gather from this plane, it's not confirmed, but they did put the fasten seatbelt sign on, but it was just an instant before it dropped. So, that's
the scary part. Yeah, they didn't get enough notice. But if you're just wearing it all the time, then you don't need to worry, do you?
Well, I just wonder if someone was in the loo when it happened. Imagine that.
Well, that would be the worst possible place.
I can't imagine.
Yeah.
At least we wouldn't be hit by another passenger anyway. Yeah, well, thank you, Marie. There was a year, and I think it might have been 2017, where we didn't lose a single human being in any air-related incident.
Wow.
For a whole year, commercial flights, right? You think about millions of people flying, not one death. It's astonishing when you think how many planes used to go down. I don't know whether this poor gentleman counts as
he had a
heart condition.
This is Geoff Kitchen. He had a heart condition. He'd had stents.
Yeah.
So who knows what other complicated conditions he might have. I mean, your heart goes out here. But I think that is also quite a rare occurrence.
David in Lancashire, hi.
Good morning.
You are a flight attendant, I gather.
Former flight attendant, yeah.
Okay, well, we love our cabin crew here. We just want to say that. What do you think? Because of course, you guys don't have the option of being strapped in the whole time, do you?
No, we don't. And good morning to you, and good morning to the panel too.
Morning.
This is a very simple case here. I mean, this does not put me off flying at all. But it's a simple case of when you're in your seat, keep your seatbelt fastened. End of.
Well, lots of people don't. They may be, increasing levels of obesity and whatnot. People feel uncomfortable with it.
Well, if they've got increasing levels of obesity, then just ask for a second seatbelt that they can attach to the original one, and it does the job. If you're walking around, if you're going to the toilet, or if you're going to the galley to get a drink or whatever, obviously that's slightly different. But when you're in your seat, keep your seatbelt fastened, and then this won't happen.
David, do you have resistance to that from passengers?
Do I have what, sorry?
Do you have resistance if you say to passengers, keep your seatbelts fastened? Do they say, don't really want to? Do you have resistance?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, like I say, I'm a former flight attendant. I don't do it now. I'm a writer now. But when I was doing the job, people did resist fastening the seatbelt. They kind of saw it as, oh, no, it's my freedom. I need to keep my seatbelt unfastened.
There is absolute madness going on now, isn't there?
That's Darwin, isn't it?
The freedom to fly into another passenger and kill them, yeah. Sure. Is that why we were seeing some pictures of turbulence there, David, on the screen, and those trolleys they have are so heavy. Are they heavy so they don't fly around?
No, they're heavy just to carry a lot of stuff.
Right, because I wonder whether if that starts moving, you really are in trouble.
Well, yes, you are, and obviously that's why if the aircraft starts to go into turbulence, you'll see the cabin crew take the trolleys back into the galleys, because that's the only place where they can secure them and make them safe. All
right, very interesting. What's your tip, by the way, just in terms of if someone's flying and they're watching this and they're a bit worried about it? Is it, Dom was saying sit near the front of the plane. That's one.
Easier said than done.
Exactly. Anything you can do, keep yourself strapped in at all times, like that. Anything else, David?
Well, I mean, sitting at the front of the plane can be very expensive, because that's normally where first class is. But at the end of the day, what you've also got to remember, my recommendation would be just keep in your seat with your seatbelt fastened, and remember that in the case of Singapore Airlines, they've got 2 flights a day going from London to Singapore. That's over 700 flights a year.
Yeah.
This is one incident.
Absolutely.
One incident out of all of those 700 flights.
Good point, David. Thank you.
You've got to keep it in perspective.
Thank you very much indeed. We have got some footage, I think, of the plane after this drop. And, you know, one of the descriptions of coffee flying everywhere, food flying everywhere. I think they had served breakfast or a meal anyway. So there's a lot of stuff flying around. A lot of people were not strapped in, and immediately they hit the ceiling. And I noticed that there are some in Singapore who are in a critical condition. So I hope we don't lose anybody else from this terrible thing. So, yeah, go on.
They'll be very well taken care of in Singapore. I mean, the healthcare system there is very good.
Right. Okay. Well, that is a comfort. I imagine they're one of these airlines like Qantas, which don't have any. Thank you, David. Don't have any. Very few casualties in their commercial operations. I'm just imagining that they don't. Why do I think that?
Something like 7 still in hospital that are critical.
Yes, really, really serious. But you know, this air travel is now so routine. People forget you.
You know, when you think about it sensibly, it's, you know, you're 37,000 metres in a chunk of metal. It's amazing that you know, as few accidents happen as there are. It should be more when you think about it. You know, I never think now how it stays up there. Do you? It just doesn't occur to me there's going to be a crash.
I don't even want to, no. But I mean, you know, if you look back in the day, you know, when a great folk musician, Jim Croce, how did he die?
God, he got sucked out.
No. That was just an air crash. Then there was, you know, Buddy Holly. Back in the day,
there was a lot of
so dangerous.
Rock plane deaths.
Oh, a lot of plane deaths. Yeah. So it's getting safer. Someone sucked out the window.
Sucked out the window?
That was an airline. It was an airline pilot.
It was an airline
it
pilot.
broke, and they actually held on to his
legs.
To his legs.
Yeah.
But actually, not only because they were worried about him, but they were worried if he went out the window, he'd be sucked into the engine and would cause even more problems.
Oh my God.
And so he got really bad frostbite, but did survive.
Yeah, they did. And so I remember seeing a comedian talk about it, saying, why didn't he just start tapping the roof and wearing his shades? Because it was really a cool landing, banging out the window.
Well, it would be an Instagram moment, wouldn't it? Now?
Yeah, it really would these days, yeah. Okay.